3 shots, 4 par, I just do 2. 1 putt, par 4, birdie, woohoo. New driver, info, replace, M2, par 5, fairway, what you fin do? Think I'll try to get on into, start right, good line, good view, hit Drew, shooter, McGavin, 2 thumbs that's up high and 2 fingers.
Of how much I put into the tech packs and the spec sheets and everything like that and
Right.
send it out to them. So it's almost like kind of hard to mess it up when everything is so detailed.
I'm sure they're
right?
like really appreciative of that too, right? Because they probably get guys
They
like
love it.
I remember when we were looking at trying to do a little bit of merch, and I would just like send some like, you know, blank questions and like what are product margins and minimums and like quantities and stuff like that. And I remember like I had an e-commerce website or like business like 17, 18 years ago in like the supplement world. And it's like so much different. It was just like I knew every product I needed, all of that kind of stuff. So we gave up on merch, man. It was so hard. It was so hard. We got like a few things and some people supported it, which was great. A bunch of it I just like kind of got to just like really give away to people who listen to the pod if we could, right? But then like some of it's just expensive too, right? So it's kind of hard to get like really quality stuff, right? So
absolutely. And I feel like a lot of people that try to like start brands and do all of that stuff, they kind of just like pick a pre-existing silhouette,
yeah,
kind of just like slap their logo on it and they're like, hey, buy this, you know what I mean? Just with me, I feel like it's a little bit different because I actually come from like a full fashion background. I've been in the fashion industry basically my whole entire life, ever since I was able to even to start working. I knew that like the last thing I wanted to do was like go work at Tim Hortons or McDonald's as like a first job when I was a teenager and stuff. So I managed to get in with a skate shop. I used to be a big skater back in the day. So worked my way up all the way there and kind of just stayed in the fashion industry within retail as well. Realized that it's something that I really wanted to pursue, and then I kind of took the full leap and went to fashion school. Completed the fashion school and then got picked up right by OVO head office right after school. So I was a product developer for OVO for about 4.5 years.
Nice, man.
So I was doing like the development for all the headwear, accessories, t-shirts, graphic hoodies, and everything like that. So yeah, I feel like that was kind of like my competitive edge when it comes to like developing items and making sure like the product's exactly what I want it to be.
Man, you're a pod natural Christian. Can we keep this, buddy? Like I clicked 2.5 minutes ago. I clicked start just to test the mic. So can I keep this part in there? Or?
Oh man, absolutely.
Yeah,
you can keep whatever you want.
We're rolling. We're rolling right now. Then we're live. We're live.
Do it live. Fuck it.
Bryce might be out of it. Bryce has got
we're here.
Bryce has got Lib and he's going solo. So
he
might be in and out of it. So if you see him disappear, he'll come back. He might come back with a baby. But okay, episode 201. We're a couple minutes in, but I feel like you're an absolute natural, Christian. So we got to keep that because it's such. I don't know. That was such good content. That was such good piece. So. Worth Christian here from Bunker Threads, man. One of the coolest names in golf. Appreciate you stopping by and having a chat with us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm super, super excited for the opportunity.
Hopefully my AC's not too loud. I got it kicking over there. You guys
I can't hear it. I think you're good.
No, I'm good. I can't hear anything.
I got a light above me. But, yeah, so we kind of, started off quickly there, Christian. Like, you were telling us a bit about your fashion background and skateboarding, which, like, just a light bulb for us because one of our coolest chats was with Sean from Decks to Divots. So you guys might have to link up, man, because he has such a cool skating background. Funny? Do you know Sean?
I already connected with him about it. Yeah. I just gave him the biggest shout out ever. I was like, dude, what you are doing is phenomenal.
Oh man, and just like the nicest human being on the planet too. Like he is just the nicest guy. Like I still talk to Sean probably once every couple of weeks or so. Just like the coolest dude. I'm not just saying that. Hopefully he tunes in and listens, but like we plan to like try to catch up and meet this summer. Hopefully we can still do that. But like this sounds like an absolute match made in heaven for you guys to collab on something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That would be super sick for the future.
That's what we love to do here. That's what Bryce and we love doing it, man. We love setting up kind of collabs and stuff and connecting people. That's kind of what's got us going and kept us going, I guess. But
or the PB&J between the two pieces of bread.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Can you just give us like an intro, Christian, then of like maybe a little bit about yourself? If you kind of go over a duplicate, that's okay. I might, in case I cut some of it out or something like that. But can you kind of like tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe like what sort of your background was and kind of what inspired Bunker Threads to kind kind of come through to where it is now?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So it's kind of a little bit of a longer story. Started my fashion career when I was 15 years old. I wasn't even able to legally work at the time, so I knew I wanted to get right into the fashion industry at a very young age. So what I did was I actually got a co-op through my high school. So I was able to work in retail in fashion while getting school credits. Wasn't always the best like school kid growing up, so that's why I felt that going that route was really, really good for me.
Me too, man. Me too.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely,
as
man.
soon as I learned about apprenticeships and stuff like that, I
It was
was like,
game over, man. It
I
was
was into
game
two of
over.
them as quick as I could, and yeah, it was just kind of, yeah, that was it for me. So I
Exactly,
do
man.
like those opportunities are good, and like being able to kind of take that opportunity to gain some school credit while you're not like you're, if it's something that you're like passionate about at the time, and if fashion's it, and you're trying to get into it, like I feel like we got to have more kids doing that, man. It's like,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And you know what it is too, man? It's like I find with the fashion industry, not even pertaining to golf, it's so saturated, and it's a very like big risk to kind of go all out in the fashion industry just because there's so many competitors doing it. Um, so when I was a lot younger, I kind of was like, you know what? No, I'm going to go all in with this. I'm going to do it.
yeah.
So right after my co-op after high school, I took a year off. And then I actually worked with the company that I got my co-op with for about 6 years. So I stayed with that company for about 6 years, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to take it to the next level of fashion. So that's when I went to school. I went to school for business fashion at George Brown College for 2 years. After that 2 years, OVO picked me up on the product development team. So I was developing OVO accessories, headwear, graphic T-shirts, all the hoodies, even some of like Drake's tour merch, um, for about 4.5, almost 5 years. Recently grew a passion for golf. I'm not the kind of guy where I was like golfing since I was 3 years old, pick up a club, first thing I do, right? So I actually grew my passion for golf over the past, I would say, 5 years. And just honestly, the second I picked up a club, it was game over. I
Love,
was
man.
right
Yeah.
into it, and I was just so hooked. And I've just been playing consistently ever since, and it's been an amazing journey, honestly. So something for me is when I left the company OVO, I kind of realized, hey, there's like a really, really big niche here when it comes to like fashion and golf, kind of implementing more
Mhm.
streetwear into golf, right? So I kind of decided like, hey, I'm going to take everything that I learned from OVO in my previous life, take my big, big passion that I grew over the past years, and kind of mash it together. And then that's kind of how Bunker Thread started.
So
That's sweet.
where'd the name come from? Like, where's the name Bunker Threads? Like, that's why I said it's like one of the coolest names. Like,
Oh, thank you, man.
it's
It's
like
actually,
because it kind of like, if I can like break it down, maybe this is like too much of an analysis, but it's like bunker. So it's like we're talking about golf, obviously. Like, you get the idea of like, you could think a couple things. Maybe you think it's like kind of like beachwear, stuff like that, or like streetwear, that kind of thing. Hopefully, right? So maybe I'm stretching that one a little bit, but like the threads part, kind of like when people use the word threads, it like lets them know that like this is a fashionable piece. Like this is a clean piece, right? So did you did you have like a good story behind the name? Did you kind of hash it out with any buddies or anything like that?
to be honest, man, I knew from a very young age that I wanted to start. I knew I was going to be the owner of a brand, of my own brand. Just didn't know that it was going to implement golf.
Mhm.
So I was actually all my buddies, all my really, really close friends, they're all obsessed with the game as well. So I think it was like one Friday night, I put all my guys in a group chat and I was like, boys, like it's time to do it. I'm gonna pull the trigger and I'm finally gonna start my own brand and I'm gonna go all in with it. But my big thing was I could never think of a name for the longest time and I wanted it to have genuine meaning. So I was bouncing some ideas off of a couple of buddies of mine, and Bunker Threads came up, and it honestly just kind of stuck, and it rolled off the tongue nice. I found that our slogan, "Play the sand you're dealt," it implements like a lot of things, not even pertaining to golf itself. It pertains to like a lot of like life stuff and kind of merging the two. And then obviously our mascot is the rattlesnake,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, that's kind of how like the name all started. It was just kind of like a Friday night where we all kind of pitched in, bounced some ideas off of each other, and then the mascot, the slogan, it all just came so easy after, right?
That's awesome that you kind of just got the bug and kind of started running with it. And it's kind of cool too because I mean, golf fashion and the golf space is huge, but compared to just fashion in general, like streetwear and all that, it's pretty small compared to that big grand scheme of things. So I think it's kind of, was it almost easier for you to get into that first? I mean, I know you don't do other fashion, you do majority golf, but it's kind of a good starting point for you, no?
Very good starting point for me. So I feel like I'm trying to be very strategic with how all of my releases come out. The one thing I didn't want to do is just drop like
Mm-hmm.
one line of things and then just not have anything else for the rest of the year. Um, so yeah, I mean,
Is that hard, Christian? Is it hard when you got like it sounds like you got a few ideas or a few things in the bank, and then like you kind of put in the we'll call it the R&D, like whatever it is that you're kind of putting in on the back end, the research and development is kind of where I'm going with that. And then so you have a few pieces, like, but you don't want to drop them all. I feel like I would be addicted to that like feeling of wanting to put stuff out.
man, you have no idea the vault that I have right now, just ready. I already have almost all of 2025 planned
Damn.
for like all of the releases and everything like that, just so I stay on calendar with all like the shipping
Yeah.
vessels and everything, just to get like everything at the best possible cost and everything like that. So I try and plan everything strategically, especially with all the releases too, right? So every single release that I have, I've released 5 capsules so far. So every single capsule is different based on like the time of the year, because we were in like Toronto and stuff. We only get to golf for X amount of months of the year, but I wanted to also implement streetwear and golf. So kind of like in the summertime is when we do all of our performance wear, which is going to be all of our like performance polos, the on-course essentials, the performance headwear. And then we're actually coming out with a big fall ball collection coming this September. And then over the span of the winter, that's when we're going to start tapping into more streetwear stuff. So like hoodies, crew necks, cargo pants, open hem stuff. So it's all going to be pertaining to the season, but everything is going to be golf related.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to Andrew last week or a couple weeks ago. There was like the crew neck market in golf is like untouched, man. It's like to get a good crew neck. There's not. I'm a crew neck guy, and there's not many of them kind of floating around there, right? So I'm kind of interested to see what you come up with, because I know a little bit of, like, you mentioned your OVO background, so like they source a lot of their stuff locally, right?
Yes and no.
Okay,
Yes and
like
no.
I feel like I've heard that from like somebody else, that some of their like hoodies and stuff like that are manufactured here in Canada. Maybe that's not quite true, but it's like it's always got me curious. I like those heavy garments. I like the heavy t-shirts. That's kind of like, the fit for me, but it's always interesting to hear what other people are doing. Like, you're talking about certain times that you're having to purchase things. You're talking about like, certain times you want to make the drop to make it the most appropriate with what the season is and stuff. And that's something that Bryce and I have like absolutely no idea about, right? So I'm just like, oh, it'd be cool to drop a tank top, and it's November, and it's like, no one thinks that that's a good idea but me, and it goes absolutely nowhere. Maybe that's why. But I kind of like when Bryce and I were talking a bit about merch, like, remember that Bryce trying to kick that stuff off? It was so hard, man. It's just,
Yeah, it was very hard.
it's hard. So like when you guys, Christian, are able to do it and do it well, and have like designs and gear that looks good, it's so impressive to me. The one thing that sticks out in my mind, hopefully somebody else grabs this, you ever like look at things and it either reminds you of something or inspires you from something? Your logo reminds me of you ever seen the movie Drive with Ryan Gosling?
No, I haven't.
So he's got like the scorpion jacket. It's like, you got to check it out. Ryan Gosling. So this is like, he's one of the best looking men in the world, right? So like we're appealing to a whole new market here. If you want to go check out Bunker Threads, I think you should, because if you're into Ryan Gosling, maybe you're into Bunker Threads. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch too, but
Yeah.
but he's got this like scorpion jacket on, so it kind of reminds me of the snake, of like the rattlesnake. It kind of has that like same look. It's got that same like kind of interesting look, because I remember seeing that jacket like in the movie, and he's like a driver, right? So it's like he'd kind of get out of the car and like walk around, and like you'd see this big scorpion on his back, and it's kind of neat. It's unique, right? So that's kind of when I saw yours, and I was telling you, I was talking to Elliot about them. I was like, man, these logos are clean. Like, this stuff's really clean. And then you and I got chatting, and that's how we're here where we are, right? So it's kind of neat to see because it's different in the golf space. Like bringing that in and kind of bringing that into the golf space is different, man. It's completely different. How'd you like come up with the logo? How do you like design it? Do you do like any like the digital work yourself or like the designing yourself at all?
Well, pretty much like I pretty much cook everything up in my head.
Okay.
I do have an artwork guy that's with me, and he kind of cooks everything actually on the computer. So when I came to him and I was chatting with my really good friend Justin, this guy is like the graphic wizard.
Okay.
There's nothing really I could throw at him that he doesn't already know. You know what I mean? So, like for example, we were bouncing kind of like reference ideas around for our mascot. We kind of found a couple different images that we both enjoyed for different reasons, and we kind of just merged all of our references into one. And to be honest, that Bunker Threads logo, the snake biting the golf ball, was actually the first run of our logo. And I saw it and I was like, you know what? We don't need to change anything. This is it. This is our logo. Let's run with it, kind of thing.
Have you seen this, Bryce? Have you seen the logo?
Yeah.
What
I've been on their account.
What do you think? You like it?
I think it looks great. I can't believe it was first take on it. It's pretty good.
Because it's like.
Kinda,
Go ahead.
I don't know. I just kind of tied it to like kind of like an Arizona vibe with like the snake. Or, like, but that's just I don't know. That's just first thing that comes to mind. But I love it. I think it's great.
It's giving me like Chubbs Peterson vibes. Getting his
kind of
yeah, exactly.
Bit,
right?
right?
But so when you guys are kind of like designing them, you're going through it. Like like you've got somebody who like does some of your digital work, but do you have just like kind of friends that are interested or that are like trustworthy in the brand, or do you have anybody else working with you that you're bouncing ideas off of, Christian?
When it comes to like ideas, not really. I kind of told myself from the very beginning, like, hey, don't listen to anyone, keep your head down and do what you love to do, kind of thing. So there's always been people, like I've had somebody tell me like, hey man, like your logo sucks. Like it's not it, kind of thing. You should probably change it. And then, for example, I have other people being like, "Yo, your logo's sweet.
Really?
It's so sick."
You're always gonna have people like that, though.
And that's what it is too, right? Like being in the industry for so long, over a decade, I found that like, and there's always going to be one person that doesn't like what you're doing, at least one.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And to have that really affect your grind and your drive and your motivation to keep going is kind of just like I try and block it all out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
shout out Fergie.
Yeah, we've only had one hater, and his name was Fergie something. So he gave us shit. There we are at the Toronto Golf Show, just like going through ripping like 30 interviews in a day with people trying to feature brands and stuff like that. And the camera's picking up all the people walking behind us, and he's like, "Your camera's trash" or something like that. He was like, "It's like a blurry camera." And we're like, "Come on, man!" Like we're like recording. Bryce is like recording, and then I'm hopping off, like ripping an edit, putting it up within like 10 minutes, and then we're hopping over to somebody else. We're both like sweating all day, and Fergie's giving us a hard time. So we asked if he would be interested in being our video guy. Still no response. It's still out there, Fergie. Come find us.
Yeah, the invite's still there, Ferg.
We're still looking for a video guy, but see that intro I did last week? Not bad, Fergie. Not bad.
No, that's good.
Inspired by you. But yeah, man, I actually think it's a pretty sweet logo. The Praying Sands logo, that thing's sweet. That's clean, man.
Oh yeah, thank you, man. Yeah.
I like it.
We wanted to tap into like a lot of I call them our range tees. I wanted to tap into like a lot of different graphic t-shirts, so I did like a mid-weight 100% cotton, about 170 GSM, just so it's lightweight, it's breathable, but it still has some substantial feel to it. Just because when you're on the range, you're sweating, you know what I mean? So you don't really want to have that big, boxy, heavy cotton t-shirt on it, but you still want to rock something golf-related, but not always a polo to the range. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm glad I listened to the rest of that, because I like nodded my head like I knew what GSM meant, and I have no idea. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, totally know what that means. But then you explained it very well, so that makes sense. Because yeah, like I said, I kind of like those heavy pieces and stuff like that, maybe more like fall and stuff. But also like I'm a big guy too. Like we all sweat on the course, right? So and I wear a t-shirt a ton, like because I also play like a lot of like Friday afternoons and stuff like that. Just try to get out there and stuff. If I'm kind of in shorts and a t-shirt, I'll go to the course, right? So I'm always kind of looking for ways to kind of expand the gear. And yeah, if it's if we're going to the range that 1 or 2 times a year that we actually do that, then yeah, it's probably always in a t-shirt. I can't really see me putting on a golf shirt for that. But what's
Exactly, right?
what kind of stuff? So is there anything that's like, I like asking this question usually when we talk with like a brand, when we talk to somebody, you've been in the space for, sounds like you've been in the industry for probably 8, 9 years, really, maybe even more than that. But
I would like 13 years.
jeez, man,
13 years
jeez.
been in fashion.
So with Bunker Threads being like reasonably new, obviously, like you probably, like if we take it back to the infancy, like I know that there's a lot of time that goes into these to like kind of plan it, but you probably dropped in like April or something, right? April, May?
April 1st was the launch.
Right. Okay. So have you had any pieces that you've like kind of like created that you brought in that maybe you that just didn't like, that just didn't make it, just didn't feel like it was what you wanted?
100%.
Can you
100%.
Can you explain like why?
I think for me is like I like a lot of functional wear.
Right.
So I like to test all my products. Like for example, the polos that I released beginning of August. No, sorry, beginning of July. Yeah, July. When I released those, I actually was wearing one on the golf course since the beginning of the year, and I wore it probably 5 to 10 times just to fully test the product before I released it. Right. So there has been times where I have tested some headwear, some other stuff, and I've worn it on the course, and I'm like, this isn't it. Like if I don't stand behind it, I don't want to put it out there.
I like the hats, man, because like Bryce and I are both big rope hat guys. Like,
Yeah.
who doesn't love a rope hat, right? So,
Exactly.
are like the one here that I'm looking, it's hard to like show you guys here, but like this one here, is this an Imperial or something pretty close to?
What do you mean by Imperial?
July 1st, an Imperial cap, like it's like a brand, if that makes sense.
Oh
to
man,
you.
I'm full custom on every single item that I release.
Yeah, because
So like I don't use blanks. I don't use like pre-existing silhouettes. Like the caps that you see that's on my head, that's online, everything like that. It's like we went full R&D to making the pattern pieces, getting all the swatches, testing the swatches.
Oh,
so
man.
every single piece that I have like performance wear is all full cut and sew. So that's why everyone usually releases polos at the very, very beginning of the year. Like April and May, just when people are kind of like revamping their golf wardrobe. I released mine a little bit later on into the summer, just because we weren't fully there yet. I could have released them at the very, very beginning of the year, but I wasn't fully satisfied with the execution of what we tried to do at first. So kind of went back to the drawing board and did a full cut and sew polo with our own fabric. So it's like a specialty blend that not a lot of people use. And I've actually tested out multiple different blends, and I found that this one kind of fit perfect. So after we kind of got the silhouette and the fabric down, I kind of sat behind a computer, kind of like locked myself in my office and hand colored all of the digital camos that you see on all of our polos. So not a lot of people know that, but our camo is like hand drawn, handmade, hand colored. So nobody actually owns our camo but us.
Wow. That's awesome.
Clip that.
Yeah. So the R&D.
I gotta remember the time that is. I gotta clip that. That's really cool because. So okay, can I try to like understand this in case anybody's not like following us? So, because I think I got it. So you have essentially like a blank silhouette, like you mean a blank piece of fabric, right?
Yes.
So then you like kind of like you kind of cut it out like the shapes and everything that you want, like you get it fit to like the type of fit that you want, based on like how do you come up with that? Like how do you know?
Well,
like how do you know like how to cut the shoulders? You know what I mean? Like maybe that's like a stupid question, but if I'm thinking it, somebody else might be right now. But it's like, yeah, like how would you know how to shape everything?
To be honest, man, just being in the industry for this long, I mean, I've definitely tried to do things in my previous life when it comes to developing stuff for myself, and I thought it was going to be perfect. I was like, there's no way this is going to fail. It comes in and I'm like, oh my goodness, what did I just do? Back to the drawing board. You know what I mean? So after doing that for so many years, I feel like you got to just know what works and what doesn't. So we buy like the fabric by the roll, right? Mm-hmm. So we use 92% polyester, 8% spandex. I find a lot of golf polos right now are kind of flipped. They're 98% polyester and 2% spandex. So they don't really have like a lot of stretch in it. When you sweat, the polyester smells bad after a while. And that's just not something people really want on the golf course. So I switched it to 92% polyester, 8% spandex to allow it to have more stretch, more breathability, and ultimately no restriction in the golf swing.
I feel like I would love that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Bryce is
Hey,
always like a beanpole man, but my weight fluctuates like 30 pounds a year. So in January, I'm like this weight, and in July, I'm like this weight, So like it sounds like that might be something that I'd be pretty interested in, having some room in
well,
there.
well, man, Mac, Bryce, you guys let me know what color and size you want, and I'll send one out after this podcast.
That'd be
It's,
great.
man, the idea of like how cool is that, Christian, when you're like, I draw out camo, and it's
Yeah,
like
it's pretty.
I'm the like we're the only people in the world wearing it, or whoever's like kind of bought that, right? So like my mind goes to like
Lowy.
your idea of like a what's that?
My mind goes to Lowy. It's kind of the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got a different skill, but I mean, it's still pretty impressive to get those, like, get it cut perfectly and get it laid out perfectly. Like, it's kind of similar in a way.
Well, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of like when we were having the conversation with Dormy. So back like episode 50, so 151 ago, Bryce.
Yeah.
We were talking with Jeff and Todd from Dormy, and like kind of the same thing. They talked about how they went to Italy to source a certain type of leather, and then they found like someone in town in Nova Scotia that comes and like cuts out everything by hand for them and like creates what is the Dormy head cover, which is kind of like the gold standard in that world, right? So
100%.
it's kind of neat when you hear that type of thing, and like I think of a camo shirt when you drop a capsule, like say you're only dropping 20, and there's like 20 people in the world that have that, right? So I think that that's a big thing in like the fashion world right now. People love that idea. People love to like collect items and stuff like that. It's something that
Yep.
I've been like a little bit more into with like shoes and stuff like that in the last like in the last few years. It's like something that's been like more intriguing to me, which I think is interesting to a lot of people as well, which is kind of something that I think would like maybe relate to a lot of people like in the golf space who are looking to like connect with a brand that it's I think a lot of people want to like feel like at home with a brand, right? Like I talk about Full Wedge, like we have a partnership with Full Wedge. People have kind of been with Full Wedge for years, and like they love it because they love like the quality, they love like a certain type of like fit that they have, and like they like the logo, and they like kind of like the type of like designs that they have and stuff, right? And I think that that's kind of similar to like how you are. And then there's like an elevated level of like you can say like this is a 1 of 20 piece or something. I went to like you go to like a museum or something like that, and you're like, this is kind of cool. There's like 5 of these in the world or something like that, right? So I don't know.
I feel like people also appreciate like the localness. Like when people are like companies are way more local, they have like a way better opportunity to like connect with them and kind of become closer with them. And I feel like people really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Sorry, I get a little off topic sometimes. Feel free to jump in and kind of
I
cut
had to
me
reel
off.
you back in there. You
I
started
appreciate
running
that.
off on us.
So what kind of where my mind was going a little bit, Christian, is like your price point right now is like $70 for a polo, right?
Yeah.
We see like, you go into Golf Town, pretty much, you want Adidas polo, Nike polo, Travis Matthew, whatever it is, like $100, right? So
Yeah.
how are you able to like keep the price point there?
Just from my strategic planning, honestly. I feel like I've planned out my years pretty strategically, so I'm not um, taking a hit on some like unnecessary financials, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So for me, it's like I don't really care about making as much money as I possibly can. Like that's not really the reason why I started this. Um, so for me, I already know golf is very expensive as it is. When you got to pay for your tee time, the golf balls, the beer on the course, pretty much everything, right? So I wanted to make it somewhat affordable for the everyday golfer, but I still kind of wanted to hold my value as my designs, as my cut and sew, and everything like that. So I found that the $70 price range for a full custom colored cut and sew
Yeah.
fabric blended polo is pretty reasonable.
for sure.
Definitely, man. So it's like, well, Bryce, that's like $20 for you now across the board,
Yeah.
pal. Like that's nothing for you. But it's kind of one of those things too, where it's maybe it's a long game, right? Like I talked about my kind of e-commerce past and when I was like in the supplement world and stuff like that, and I did it because I was like super passionate about it at the time, and it was something where we might make like a couple bucks on a jug or something like that. But people came back, right? Prices were better than like the other ones, and it was just kind of a volume thing. And then like I had an option to sell it, but I do think I'm like a guy with The Office with like the Michael Scott Paper Company. I don't know if you're familiar with this with The Office. So it's like you have the business model, so like you have the background in that world, so you know that you can kind of handle that. But it's also like if you're getting a quality piece like that for $70, like I'll be back, right? If I get a piece and I'm like, okay, I spent my money, like that's my hard-earned money. It was good. It's something that I like. Like I go back. Christian's my guy now. Bunker Threads is like the spot, right? So I think that a lot of people like that. Like Bryce said, they like kind of the local market. They like to, know who's kind of behind the brand and stuff like that. Plus, you're doing a lot of like pop-ups and stuff like that. You're like, trying to get out to golf courses and you did the event at like a simulator and stuff. I really like that kind of stuff too. I think it's an opportunity for us to like meet people and connect. I guess we were in the same room and we didn't know that we were there. I didn't know that you were there, but it's it's kind of cool. This golf world, especially in like the GTA, is it's big, but it's kind of a small world, man. There's so many of us kind of looking to help each other out too, right? So
Yeah, I think doing those events and stuff are great, especially for apparel companies, because my personal opinion, like best advertisement is to get it in people's hands, like feel it, touch it, like you said earlier, and when people can do that and they like it, like a lot of people stay loyal, especially to, like I said, local smaller companies. Like people like that, so I think that's great that you're doing those small little events or big events, but just events in general. It's good.
And I honestly find that like for me, not a lot of people know about all of the R&D that goes into Bunker Threads and how much like sweat equity I put into this. So that's why I find it really beneficial when I'm in front of other people and I can kind of like, hey, let's talk about it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And they're actually, I always find 9 out of 10 times when I actually tell them what went into it with the cut and sew, the color, everything like that, it's almost just like, oh my God, get me 2 of them kind of thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Obviously online, you can't touch it, feel it, smell it, make sure
Mhm.
you love it before you buy it kind of thing. So, yeah, I think honestly for me, it's just, I'm going to try and do as many pop-up events as possible and just ultimately meet a wide range of golfers in this kind of fashion space as well, and just ultimately just network and connect with as many people as I possibly can. Right.
Yep.
well, and that's why I like the pod here. That's why kind of as you and I got chatting, I didn't know that your story would be so deep, but we've had dozens and dozens and probably hundreds of conversations now where Bryce and I kind of like we have no idea what we're kind of going into. And I think that's why when you ask me like is there like some things I should prepare and stuff like that, like the more and more Bryce do these, the more and more we're just kind of like we just love having a conversation. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Like we'll learn about the brand, we'll get there, we'll find out exactly what's going on, right? So
We're almost to the point where we don't even prepare at all for
yeah, it's kind of like
we
we
come on
have
and talk.
we have like an idea of like who you are, kind of what you do, and then that's why I said like can we leave the start of this episode in, and we just like I'll just
Let it fly.
I'll just cut it in there and we'll just be kind of learning about Christian and Bunker Threads right off the hop, right? Before we move on, we got to talk about skateboarding a little bit, I'm sure, but can you like you've been in the fashion industry, you've worked with like OVO and stuff like that you mentioned. Do you have like a dream collab? If you were to I asked Andrew the same question.
Famous question.
Well, it's a good question, man.
No,
It
it's a
kind of
great
lets
question.
lets like any listeners know. So we're half an hour in. Hopefully, you still got a bit of time with us here, Christian. But like we're half an hour in. We've kind of like learned about the brand, and I feel like asking like a dream collab is kind of like that famous question of like what's your dream foursome. But it gives an idea of like where your mind goes, or maybe some of the brands that you like in the industry, right?
To be honest, man, that's a really good question because the way I'm kind of treating this brand in my headspace is kind of like I don't really have a big dream collab, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. like I said before, I think I'm just so in my own headspace and I got my head down and I'm just grinding to the point where I've actually been approached by a couple people to do collabs for like a winter release, a fall ball release, like a new summer release for 2025. And I've just turned down everything
Mhm.
personally.
Okay,
Just
how
because,
about a sorry, I'm gonna cut you off real quick. How about like an ambassador, like someone to like that you would want to wear your gear, whether it be a golfer or even anyone,
Could we
someone
do?
that you
um,
would
Could
enjoy.
could I add on that? Could we do a non-golfer? Could be like anyone but a non-golfer.
yeah.
Do you-
Well, oh, okay.
so I feel like you're just gonna be like Tiger Woods.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
um,
get him out of that Sunday red. Oh,
oh God.
oh boy.
Well, to be honest, when it comes to like ambassadors and everything, I sponsor athletes.
Hmm.
I sponsor golfers. So I have 3 golfers on my roster right now, and I actually know them all personally. I'm kind of following their journey with golf and their journey to try and just kind of like stay in the field and get more eyes on the product. So my first golfer, my first athlete was the first athlete that I signed. His name is Cam Lancaster. Not too sure if you guys are familiar with him, but he owns Lancaster Golf Performance. So he's actually a golf coach,
Yeah,
a
he's out
professional
at.
golf coach.
Is he out in the Copetown Woods area?
Absolutely, he's out with
Yeah,
Barry
yeah.
out there.
I think
Yeah,
we're
so
supposed to do an episode. Him and I. Wait, maybe we talked in like May or June. So Cam, if you're listening, let's reconnect and because I'm pretty sure him and I have chatted about doing an episode. And I get
no, yeah, Cam's a great guy, man. Honestly, like as soon as I approached him with everything and kind of like the pitch for it all, he was super down right out of the gate. He saw the logo, he kind of saw my vision and saw how I was executing things, and he was on board right from the start. So with that, he actually offers a lot of different coaching lessons, like group lessons, individual lessons, for new golfers, old golfers, PGA golfers, anywhere from the ages from like 60 to 80. So for me, golf is a really hard sport. I mean, I'm not the greatest at it. I would like to get better at it. I'm sure everyone else wants to get better at it. So I kind of teamed up with Cam. So there's actually a discount code for his coaching services if you use kind of like the Bunk with Reds link on our
that's sweet.
website. And then yeah, again, the second golfer that I have right now, his name is Connor Epping, and he's a golf pro out in Calgary, and he's a certified Titleist fit specialist, and he's a coach out there as well. So again, just trying to bring more people into the game of golf and kind of just like spread it across all industries.
I love that, man, because it's something too that like I do feel like you could touch a couple different sports too with it, right? So and we're seeing so many like golf and skate collabs and stuff like that, and golf and like basketball with like good like bringing in basketball players and stuff like that, and like it's just I think it's like cool. There's a lot of like collabs happening right now in the sports world where I think there's like an opportunity to kind of meet in the street where the space as well, right? So Cam, we did talk, and it was in February, man. Last thing I said was let's set it up, and we left it there. So I am very sorry. I got to be better with that. But yeah, let's set up an episode, Cam. Would love to chat. Maybe we'll come out. Maybe when because we got to do a live one, Christian. So when we'll pick a date in like the winter or something like that, and I'll come out. Maybe we'll do a live one. Cam can do a little demo or something for us. We'll think of something. We'll put together a pretty good episode, I think. But if you could let's do a little segue because I do want to talk. I want to learn about like skating.
I
Your
got
skating
one more
backboard.
quick. One
Yeah,
more
yeah.
quick. Have you had the chance to kind of go out in public on a golf course or wherever and got to see your brand, someone wearing your brand without you knowing them or without you anticipating it?
To be honest, I've seen my graphic tees out a lot in the area. It's actually funny. I've seen the most of them at Costco. It's funny that I remember that, but yeah, I've seen a bunch of product on like people's backs at Costco, and it's a really cool feeling just being like,
Yeah.
hey, you have no idea that that's me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But you're
exactly.
still
Yeah.
down to get it just because you like it. So
How
yeah,
cool is that
it's
feeling too
really
when
cool to
like
see.
you post something and it just kind of pops up and somebody's like made an order. You have no idea who they are. Like that's got to be such a cool thing. Like just through like
Oh,
social
yeah.
media or whatever. And then
Yeah, I think
seeing
they're
it out in the wild would be awesome, man.
Oh, it's insane. It's almost like I'm like a kid in a candy store when I see someone wearing my stuff, right? Yeah.
I remember
It's honestly amazing.
remember I messaged Bryce and I was like, "Hey Bryce, I heard somebody at the golf course talking about the pod today." I was like last year or something like that. I was like walking by and I was like, I heard them talking about the pod. It was pretty cool. Or a couple people have like run into and they've like mentioned like, oh, like are you one of the like are you the guy from the pod or like one of the guys from the pod? And we'll just like start shooting the shit about golf. It's great because we're like, yeah, we're gonna talk about golf now. This is cool. This is kind of like our world, right? But if
Exactly.
let me go back to the question. If you could see any pro skateboarder, any skater wearing a Bunker Threads tee, who would that be? That's such a tough question.
Oh man, that's so hard because I had so many.
Because I
So
took it
many
back to like Steve
inspirations.
Caballero or something like that, man.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like it kind of in that like street world that would look so cool, man. Like
To be honest, man, it's I would probably say Stefan Janowski. He was
okay.
probably like one of like my favorite skaters growing up. I probably own maybe 15 pairs of his skate
Yeah.
shoe,
I was
all
trying
different colors.
I was
You know
just
what I
trying to
mean?
look off screen for them because I got like the blue suede ones and I got a pair of black ones over there somewhere. So
Oh man, I
yeah,
remember camping for the Digiflora ones,
man,
like
those are like
way back in the day.
yeah, it's like a I don't know, that's like a world that kind of like got hot too because like Grant Horvat was wearing them for a while. And I think like maybe Garrett and those guys were wearing them for a while, and they got pretty popular. I know Mac, like our friend Mac, wears them quite a bit. Mac Boucher, you know, kind of before like the Adidas world and stuff like that. That was kind of one of his shoes, but yeah, they're sweet, man, and they're such a stylish shoe. They're just such a clean shoe, right? So
Oh
that's
yeah, it
it.
was like the
That'd be
go-to. Yeah, it was like the go-to all throughout high school growing up. Like it was just pick a color Janowski's to put on for the day. You know what I mean?
I love that, man, because it's like now it's like all you see when you look down is just dunks and like I don't know. I like to see a little something different sometimes, right? But
Exactly.
what's your skate background look like? Like what's the world look like for you? Like Bryce did a little bit. We got talking with Sean about this. We actually unfortunately lost a pod with Sean, so it's only
Yeah.
happened I think once. I actually had one where the audio cut out with Kylie. So thank you to both of them for recording with us a second time. Not too bad. We've only had like a couple hiccups over the years, but we were talking like we must have been talking like skateboard, BMX, and stuff like that like for a half an hour at the start of our episode, and something popped up on the screen and it just went like squirrely, and that was it. It was just gone. It was just like
Yeah.
never to be heard again. But we had a great time, and then we like reconnected and chatted again, and we both have some of the Dex Divots tools and stuff like that, which are some of the coolest
Mhm.
tools. I actually have I gotta connect with Sean because I have a ball display out of like a skate deck and stuff like that I need to. I was like, no, man, keep it because then it'll make me come pick it up one day. So he's not that far away. I think he's like 6 hours away, which I just love to go for drives for adventures and stuff like that. But you know, kind of what was the skate background for you, Christian?
Skate background for me was, I mean, when I started skateboarding when I was 14 years old. And then when I got my first job in fashion, I actually worked at a skate shop.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so
So do you remember the
yeah.
setup? Like, do you remember what you were riding?
Oh man, I was. You know what's funny? I can actually tell you right now. I was riding an iShod Wear reel board with independent trucks, Bones wheels, and Reg bearings, and
Okay,
Shake John grip.
okay. All right,
Yeah.
I definitely know a few of those. I did a little bit of skateboarding, but I was bad, man. One of my buddies was like
Oh yeah, me
quite
too.
good, but I was bad. And then I kind of found the BMX world, and I was actually like pretty good at that. I did like some dirt riding and stuff like that, and I was like flatland was kind of like big at the time, and I was very good at that for whatever reason. And then yeah, I just love like doing dirt jumping and stuff like that. Like, you know, my mom kind of learns this stuff now. I was trying to do like backflips and stuff like that on like dirt tracks and stuff that were, you know, a few kilometers from the house and stuff, which is probably incredibly dangerous. But yeah, it was just like so much fun. I feel like everybody kind of like dipped in the skate world or like BMX or something like that. Like scooters are big now and like that kind of stuff. I think
Mhm.
like it's kind of like a big thing now, but like I miss those days so much. It kind of relates to like there's so much like music and stuff involved, and we got talking about Tony Hawk Pro Skater, which is still an album that I listen to all the time. Like I pop on Spotify and it's like still one of the things I listen to, and we have all played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 at some point in our lives, I think. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's like I don't know, it's a pretty nostalgic point for me. So I feel like that's kind of something that I always go back to. And like when you sort of hear like a lot of those stories with like I've listened to like Tony Hawk on Rogan and stuff like that, like their stories are so cool, man. It's like just it was something brand new at the time, and it was kind of cool, Bryce, to hear like Sean talk about that, because he was in like that first like
Yeah.
world of skateboarding and how it like really developed and got like hot, and like he was like taking a skateboard to the golf course with his clubs on his back and stuff like that when he was a junior and stuff, which was pretty cool, right? So I think it sounds like you've drawn like a lot of inspiration from that too, Christian? It sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool too because my group of friends, when we were all younger, we all skateboarded. Like
Yeah.
we were all skaters. We all did it. I remember being younger and plugging in the headphones at 9 in the morning and jumping on the board, meeting up with all the guys, and just spending the whole day just skating
Yeah.
and just like trying new tricks, going to check out new spots, doing all this stuff, right? And just like being outside with your group of guys and just enjoying your time. And it's kind of funny too, because I was actually on the golf course a couple of weeks ago with my guys that I used to skate with. And I was like, it's kind of funny, 10 years later, we're not meeting up with our skateboards. We're meeting up with our golf clubs on the first tee block.
Yeah.
And now we're all like washed up. We can't skate like we used to. So we all kind of like go towards golf. You know what I mean?
Dude,
It's
that's
just
exactly
funny
what
how-
Sean said. Same type of thing,
Yeah.
man. That's just like it's just kind of like how the world goes, and they actually have like a group of them that used to skate that have like a little league, I believe. He
Yeah.
was saying, yeah, which is pretty
I
cool.
think you said it's like 30 guys or
Yeah.
25 guys or something.
Which is awesome, man. And he made them all like divot tools and stuff like that, which anybody who's kind of still following us at this point, who doesn't know, if you haven't listened to our episode with Sean from Dexa Divots, he does like all custom golf tools, divot tools, like repair tools, ball markers, that kind of stuff out of skateboards and skate decks and those types of things. So go check them out. We've got a couple pieces, Bryce and I were lucky enough to have a couple pieces, which is awesome. So add them to your collection if you do. But before we let you go, Christian, hopefully we haven't taken up too much of your time tonight. I'm kind of like looking at it. I lose track of time sometimes, but what do you got coming up? Like, you mentioned like kind of how strategic you are with your capsule drops and stuff. What do you have coming up in the next little while?
Next couple of weeks coming up, I'd probably say in about 3 weeks, we have our performance part 2,
Okay.
which is also going to be called like the fall ball collection. So just all garments that are meant for on the golf course and also off the golf course for the fall weather. So we have like our performance cut and sew quarter zip mock neck, the one that I'm actually wearing right now. So this
Nice.
is one that's coming out in 2 different colorways beginning of September. Along with a performance vest. And then I also have on the production line right now, nylon pants. So we're just trying to implement a lot of fashion into like our new products that are coming out for on and off the course, really.
Yeah, I've kind of learned, obviously, recently, like with Andrew, like pants are a whole nother world too, man, to get into.
It's insane.
Yeah, there's
Especially
a
when you
reason.
go full cut and sew, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I
it's
can't imagine.
it's really easy for somebody to just pick a pre-existing pant, slap their logo on it, run with original specs, and just say, "Hey, that's my golf pant." But I kind of understand that like not everyone is the industry standard sizing. You know what I mean? So I take that into consideration when I do the cut and sew and all the measurements for like the inseam, the opening on the hem, the waistband, the elasticity of the waistband. So many different factors go into pants, and especially golf pants too, right? Rather than just like a standard graphic T-shirt.
Man, it sounds like I don't know, your experience is obviously paying off, Christian. So I'm glad that we could do this one, man, because this is it's nice to know. Without having this conversation, we wouldn't have known about like the whole like hand cut and sewn sort of world. And like Bryce said, when he said Lowy, he was talking about I have 2 Tyler Lowy putters. I just picked up a second one. He's like the only guy or one of only like 2 people, I think, in the world that like hand mills them on a Bridgeport, man. He like turns a Bridgeport to make a putter.
No CNC.
And they're beautiful, man. They're absolutely beautiful. Like I already had like a dozen comments on my putter the other day. Just like first time I took it out of the bag, people are like, "Holy shit! Like, what is that?" And they just like have a conversation. I just send them his way. I'm like, get on the list. You're probably gonna be there for a year, so you might as well get on it now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool, man. It's cool to like learn about something different that we didn't know, and hopefully, you know, listeners that are still with us at this point, have done the same. Kind of learned about the brand. And if you're interested, we're gonna link, of course, Bunker Threads, your website, Instagram, that kind of stuff, all down in the show notes below. So go check it out and pick up a piece. It's kind of made right here in the area. So you guys are kind of local to like Hamilton area, right? So if you're in the GTA or whatever it is, Ontario, Michigan area, it's not too far from where you are. So pick up a piece. I think you'll like it.
Oh yeah, I can guarantee you will not be disappointed.
I love that confidence, man. That's a confidence I like to hear. That's sweet.
Oh yeah.
All right, boys. Well, we'll plan, Christian. We'll plan to do another one in person. I appreciate you you coming on for this one. Schedule's a little tight right now with us. With Bryce, definitely there she is. Liv's back for episode 201. We guaranteed she'd be back. So it's that's wild, man.
Yeah.
That's wild. So she's like what, 2 weeks and a couple days now?
2 weeks yesterday.
2 weeks yesterday. So 2 weeks and a
that's
day.
amazing,
So
man.
15-day-old baby. The second youngest podcast guest. We've had the youngest in the history of podcasts. But Christian, man, this was awesome. Thanks so much. We'll do it again soon.
Man, thank you. Thanks for having me out. Yeah, it was a pleasure, man. I had a lot of fun.
He's out in my ball in the course where I tee up. I lose the ball and I re-up. I miss a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross, worst case scenario.